What up, YouTube? Here with a post-fight video of the Isaac Cruz versus Rolando Romero fight. Now, before I give y'all the summary of what happened in the fight, I'm going to tell y'all the results first. Isaac Cruz became the new WBA super lightweight champion via 8th round TKO stoppage. And this was a well-deserved win for Isaac Cruz because he's been putting in work for a while now. He came onto the scene to be a recognized name after his fight versus Gervonta Davis, and what was a valiant effort, a good fight that Isaac Cruz put on versus Gervonta Davis, which many fans that spectated the fight thought that Isaac Cruz should have walked away with the W, but unfortunately, Isaac Cruz didn't get the win versus Gervonta Davis. However, I can confidently say, firmly say, that Isaac Cruz has gave Gervonta Davis the toughest fight in Gervonta Davis's pro career thus far. And Isaac Cruz, even prior to his close-fought fight versus Gervonta Davis, he was putting in work before then. And then after his fight versus Gervonta Davis, he kept collecting wins after wins. And then finally, this past Saturday, after stopping Rolando Romero, he got his well-deserved win and became the new WBA super lightweight champion. And Isaac Cruz, after his fight versus Gervonta Davis, and if y'all go check out my post-fight video where I'll give y'all my thoughts on that fight, I had thought that that fight was a draw. And that goes to show that Isaac Cruz, despite the fact that Gervonta Davis had a hand injury, not making excuses for the performance of Gervonta Davis that night, because I don't want to take nothing away from Isaac Cruz, but that should have shown all the fans that watched that fight that Isaac Cruz is, well, he's now a champion, but he been a championship level material fighter. And this fight was a one-sided fight, a dominant performance on the part of Isaac Cruz. I had this fight scored a shutout, and I didn't give Romero a round in this fight where he had won. And Isaac Cruz, he was looking comfortable from the beginning of the fight, and from the get-go, as the sound of the bell rung, Isaac Cruz, he always looked composed, and he always looks like he knows what he's doing, and he proves that each and every fight. And Isaac Cruz, he started the fight very well, and you could tell the fight that he was trying to fight was successful from the sound of the bell all the way to the end of the fight. And Isaac Cruz, he was accurate, and that was him being able to have a very well planned out aggression throughout the entirety of the fight. And he has a pressure come forward style of him approaching his opponent, and he does that in a very methodical manner. And Rolando Romero, his defense isn't that well-rounded. And Isaac Cruz, with the style that he has, is a chink in the armor for a fighter like Romero. And as I said, Isaac Cruz, he controls his aggression and his pressure very smartly. And this was a perfect display of that skill that Isaac Cruz possesses. And he showed that consistently throughout the whole entirety of this fight, as he has shown before. And he did a good job at placing his punches very well, and that goes to show how that relates to him accurately placing his punches. That's what it means to place his punches very well put together, and as well as him mixing up his punches, going to the body and then upstairs as well, making it very uncomfortable for Romero throughout the whole fight. And Romero did not have the answers to keep the pit bull off of him. And Isaac Cruz did a tremendous job at cutting off the ring versus Romero. And Romero couldn't fight off his back foot. And whenever Romero would get pressed back with his back against the ropes or against the corner, he didn't have a way out with Isaac Cruz's attack. And Romero, his most successful round, I say, was the first round and the sixth round. And the first round, where he landed a good shot on Isaac Cruz with a straight right hand, but Isaac Cruz took that shot and reacted very well. He regained his composure and he took one to give one right back, and he had Rolando Romero running and looking like a chicken with his head cut off after Isaac Cruz would land a devastating right hook and follow it up with flurries of combinations of punches that would keep Rolly Romero running and backpedaling. And Romero had lost his footing and didn't have his balance after that shot. And speaking of the left hook, Isaac Cruz, his best weapon in this fight was that left hook. It was working like a charm for him throughout the whole fight. And whenever it would land flush and crisp on Romero, Romero didn't have an answer for that. And Romero couldn't counter that left hook of Isaac Cruz. And that's what was the most devastating shot for Romero in this fight. And Isaac Cruz, his best two punches is that left hook and that overhand right hand. And both of those shots was working very well for Isaac Cruz throughout the entirety of the fight. And now that Isaac Cruz is the new WBA super lightweight champion, he's been amongst the top of the super lightweights for a while now. But now that he's not on a contender level anymore and he's a champion now, the sky is no longer the limit for Isaac Pitbull Cruz. And a good fight for Cruz would be a title unification bout versus the current IBF super lightweight champion, Subriel Matias, who's got a fight coming up in June. And if Subriel Matias, as expected, successfully defends his IBF super lightweight title, then Isaac Cruz can have that fight versus Subriel Matias. Now, that would be a fan-friendly style affair. And with the style that both fighters possess, it would call for a hard-hitting bout. And it would be, promotionally speaking, an easy fight to make happen because both fighters had their fights promoted by PBC on numerous occasions. And that fight definitely be a fight that I can confidently say that all boxing fans would like to see. And you got Gervonta Davis in the mix as well. Gervonta Davis, who's not a champion in the 140-pound division. And Gervonta Davis, with him having the marketable name that he has and him being a well-reckoned name amongst all of boxing, not just in the super lightweight division, whoever Gervonta Davis decides to fight next is going to be a big draw because Gervonta Davis is a big draw with or without a title. And Subriel Matias has been mentioned to be a rumored opponent for Gervonta Davis, but Gervonta Davis still hasn't announced who his next opponent is going to be. And PBC and Gervonta Davis's team still doesn't have a date on when Gervonta Davis is going to step in the ring next. After his last fight, that was dating back to almost a year ago when he defeated Ryan Garcia. And this has been a long time. I see Gervonta Davis last year was very active and was very consistent, but this has been quite a long layoff for Gervonta Davis, and I guess they're still looking for the most lucrative opponent to step in there with Gervonta Davis for his next fight. Now, the 140-pound division has got a good, healthy scene going on right now. I'll say after the 135-pound division, and the champion who was undisputed at lightweight, that being Devin Haney, decided to vacate all his titles at lightweight and move up to super lightweight. The super lightweight division became the most intriguing division in the sport, and for a while it was the lightweight division. Now there is no current unified champions at 140, and there's the WBC champion Devin Haney, who had one of his best performances in capturing that title versus Regis Progress in his debut fight at super lightweight. He's got a huge fight coming up versus Ryan Garcia later this month for that WBC super lightweight title. And Ryan Garcia, much like Gervonta Davis, him not being a champion but still being one of the most well-recognized names in all of boxing, as well as Devin Haney, that's going to be one of the biggest fights that is scheduled for this year. And depending on how that fight goes, and that's going to play out how the top of the division is going to be looking. And then there's the current lineal and WBO super lightweight champion, Teofimo Lopez. And he had a questionable performance where many, including myself, had thought that Jamaine Ortiz should have won that fight versus Teofimo Lopez and walked away the new WBO and Ring Magazine super lightweight champion, but unfortunately that's not how the judges had that fight scored. And Teofimo Lopez, him being a former unified lightweight champion, is a well-recognized name amongst not only the super lightweights but in all of boxing as well. And with the reputation that Teofimo Lopez has, whoever he decides to fight next is gonna be a marketable fight. And I did mention that there is no unified super lightweight champion other than Teofimo Lopez, but the Ring Magazine title is considered the lineal title in the sport of boxing because it's not a alphabet sanctioning body title organization. And that's why I said there's no current unified champions at super lightweight. And then the WBA super lightweight champion, that being Isaac Cruz. And then the IBF super lightweight champion being Subriel Matias. And it's rumored that Teofimo Lopez is going to fight this summer with a to-be-announced opponent. And I know Top Rank, politically speaking, knowing how boxing politically works, it's highly going to be unlikely that Jamaine Ortiz is going to get a deserved rematch versus Teofimo Lopez, despite the fact that he should have walked as the winner and should have got that title under his name after his well-fought fight versus Teofimo Lopez. And even though Jamaine Ortiz is deserving of another shot at that title that he should have walked away in capturing, it's gonna probably be another fighter instead of Jamaine Ortiz, who Lopez is gonna fight next. But that doesn't take away Jamaine Ortiz still being amongst the top-ranked contenders in the super lightweight division. As I said, I'm going to say it again, Ortiz should be the current lineal and WBO super lightweight champion. And as far as Rolando Romero goes, he isn't a top talent, technically speaking, when it comes to his skills. But because of his outlandish antics outside of the ring, still makes him a marketable fighter that can have lucrative fights with a fighter that is well reckoned in the super lightweight division. Now, we saw his performance versus Gervonta Davis. He didn't put up a valiant fight versus Davis like Isaac Cruz did. And his fight versus Ismael Barroso, it was a questionable victory that he got over on Barroso because of that controversial stoppage. Despite the fact that it looked like Rolly Romero was cruising his way to getting a secured, lopsided victory over on Barroso before the stoppage, but Barroso was still having some success versus Romero in their fight. And speaking of Ismael Barroso, he had an impressive first-round knockout win in his last fight, and he became the interim WBA super lightweight champion. That makes him next in line to challenge for the legitimate WBA super lightweight champion, that being Isaac Cruz. And that fight can possibly be made next for Isaac Cruz in his first defense of his WBA super lightweight title versus Ismael Barroso. Now, that isn't the most marketable fight for Cruz to have next in his first defense of his WBA super lightweight title, nor is it a lucrative fight like a title unification bout versus a fellow champion like Subriel Matias, or a rematch versus the most recognized name in super lightweight in Gervonta Davis. And I did say about Jamaine Ortiz deserving a rematch versus Teofimo Lopez in a fight where he should have walked away the winner, much like how Isaac Cruz should have walked away the winner versus the fight against Gervonta Davis. And that obviously leads to that rematch being a deserved fight for Isaac Cruz. And now that Isaac Cruz has a title, that gives him leverage to have another fight versus Gervonta Davis in the future. And that fight would be a bigger draw than their first initial fight if they were to have another fight sometime in the future. And that would be an easy fight to make happen because both fighters are promoted by PBC. And now that it would be for a title, and now that Isaac Cruz has another fighter that is well recognized, that he got a victory over on via TKO, that makes it more of an impressive win on the part of Isaac Cruz. Now that makes that fight more of a marketable fight to make happen for the public to tap into. And with that being said, that does it for this post-fight video. Subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. And click the links in the description to show y'all support for this channel. Anything will be appreciated. And as I have said, the 140-pound division is looking like the most intriguing and the best division in the sport right now as far as them having the best talent and the most competitive division in the sport right now. And that's my opinion, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the super lightweight division is going to produce for this year and the future as well. And with that being said, I'm out of here, y'all. Be good and peace.